Hey, what's up, garden friends? Jeff here, Tropical Plant Party. How's everybody doing? Hope you're good. I am great. So I was gonna do like a quick little talk about my Vandas, and then the doorbell rang and some orchids showed up. I haven't ordered orchids in about a year. I haven't purchased any orchids in about a year, with the exception of like a few super cheap clearance ones that, long story, but those were mostly given away. Anyways, that's party favors. My Vandas. This new setup I have this year with the plastic and the waterfall and whatnot, things are warm, they're doing great. You can't really tell, they need to be soaked. The roots are kind of dry right now. They were just soaked like 5 hours ago. The humidity's a little bit low, but there's more root action happening this year than ever before. And I did just rotate these guys. I have to pull them down and rotate them because I have more Vandas over there and down there, and I have to, every week, rotate them through. And you don't want them this bundled together for too long because they'll grow into each other into a giant Vanda knot, which sounds cool, but not ideal. With that being said, that's like my Vanda update. I'm going to go ahead and soak these real quick, and then we'll get on to what's in the package. Always fun being able to come out here, just drop these guys down to soak them. Just like that, but a lot nicer because I'm normally using two hands. Alright, these guys are soaking, going to get their roots greened up. Let's look at what's in here. During my orchid tag, I did talk about how eBay isn't necessarily one of my favorite places to get orchids. There are some exceptions to that, particularly if something is a buy it now, then I'm more inclined. I mean, I love eBay for the selection and variety of orchids, but sometimes stuff just gets too expensive. And I don't have the patience to be watching things and waiting for the auctions to end usually. Like, it has to be something I really, really, really want. And I'm sure you can already tell what's in here, right? Pretty obvious. Go ahead. I actually needed some newspaper. I don't get a newspaper anymore, and this stuff is the best thing for cleaning your windshields. I'm glad I have some new newspapers. Oh, look at this one. Okay, but actually I wanted to talk about the other one first. You gonna come out? Oh, top one's gotta come out first. That's okay. I'm gonna be very gentle, because sometimes there could be a spike or something on here, and I don't want to destroy it. Oh, look at you. This is a nice big Vanda. Alright, so I got the first one out. Let's go in here for number 2. A little twisted. That's okay. Plant itself looks pretty good. Looks really good, actually. The roots are not dry. They still have that nice waxy finish to them that they should. Perfect. Some spotting. I'm not seeing any signs of Felisticata, which is what I'm always the most weary of when I order Vandas. Yeah, it might be a little bit rough around the edges. He did say that this was the last one that he had, so I'm okay with it. Looks pretty good. We're going to talk about these in just 1 second. I need to check on something real quick. Okay, so here's the deal. The whole point of this video was I wanted to talk about Vanda Renanthera crosses. I ordered 2. This is Renanthera, Storiei? Yeah, crossed with Vanda Dr. Anek. I had one of these for 3 years. It was an awesome orchid, and I chemical burnt it with Phison 20. Didn't like that stuff. I was at quarter dosage, but that's all it took. So I'm finally replacing it. I'm happy to be doing that, because this was one of my favorite orchids. They grow so vigorously. Now, the other one I ordered was I think a Rhynchorides crossed with a Renanthera. But this is what they sent me. See that? That's not what I ordered. So I'm going to contact them. It's a nice, healthy-looking plant. It's got a little cakey on it, but ultimately, I wanted another Renanthera cross, because Renantheras are really, really vigorous growers and bloomers, and it's a really nice plant to have mixed in with your Vanda. So I don't really know what to do here. I'm going to contact them. If I'm going to have to send it back or something, I don't know if I'm going to do that. It's kind of a disappointment, but I mean, it just is what it is. This looks like, look at this, has really nice color on it. That's about what you want to see. This guy right here, a little bit on the darker side. Could use some more light. You can see in contrast the Vandas back there. All right, I'm going to email the settler and we'll catch up with that later. Oh, and look at what just came in the mail. Or at some point today, I went outside and saw this on my front porch. That mentions 22 degrees outside. So this is Vanda. I did a video, which should be out by now that I've received this. And they sent me the wrong one. This is the Vanda that was supposed to come. Looks like it's packaged up well. No surprise there. What? They sent me the wrong orchid again. Things happen. It's alright. This, I mean, it looks like a nice orchid. I think this is the one they sent me by mistake the first time. And then they offered to have me send it back. They were gonna send me the right orchid with the postage to send the other orchid back. And I said, you know what? I like the orchid you sent me. I'll pay for it. So I went on and paid for it with the understanding that they would then send me the right one. And, well, hey, what can you do? What just came in the mail? Very cold. I think the right one? Oh, it's so cold. Yes. Finally, the right one. Now I have to package up and send back the other one, which is a pain in the ass. Alright, so a few days have passed to get these guys rehydrated. Or I should say I'm working on getting them rehydrated. Sorry I was so quiet and solemn in that last clip. I was just really sleepy and not expecting a package to come. So that's what that was about. All in all, 3 weeks have passed. Give or take a few days, probably. The whole situation turned out to really be quite complicated because, you know, I contacted the seller and I decided, you know what, I like this orchid you sent me, let me pay you for it, and just go ahead and send me the orchid you were supposed to. Did that, about a week passed, he sent me the orchid, and he sent me the wrong one again. The same one that he sent me before, so I then had 2 of those. I have to send the other one back. I don't need 2 of them. Pain in the butt having to go to the post office and everything, but whatever, is what it is. I'm happy to at least finally have the orchids. And the seller was very polite, and I was nice with him too. I'm still a little bit frustrated at this point, mostly just because I hate going to the post office. I feel like he should have refunded my shipping since I had paid for combined shipping on these, so it ended up costing me, you know, like 12 bucks. That's alright. I got the orchids. Let's talk about them. So I've had this one for several weeks. It has gotten to a point where it's rehydrated very nicely. It had some purpling that was showing up in here. Potentially magnesium deficiency or just exposure to the cold, or sometimes the exposure to the cold brings out those deficiencies, which I'll show you in a moment when I move on to the other orchid. But this is the Renanthera Storiei crossed with Vanda Dr. Anek. I had one of these for a few years. I may have mentioned this at the beginning of the video. I don't know. That clip was from like 3 weeks ago. It was great. I mean, it at least doubled in size. Flowered about 3 times a year. Really long plumes. Kind of a reddish flower with sort of a yellow inside. It varied a little bit with the weather and time of year, but I absolutely love that orchid. I ended up losing it to chemical burn. So I was happy that I was able to get a new one, and like I said, this was the last one he had. It looks okay to me. It seems to be doing well. I'm not seeing any signs of new root growth just yet. I take that back. There's some nubs coming out there, so yeah, with that little nub that's in there, there's potentially some new root growth starting to pop up in here, and that's pretty good considering I've only had it for about 3 weeks. So it seems to be doing well. I'm happy about that. And there are some new roots popping up in here as well. So that's this guy. This one should get really, really big and flower fairly profusely. You know, like the Renanthera Storiei does. Okay, and this is the one all the hype's been about. All the struggles, all the frustrations was for this Renanthera Vanda cross. Now, this is actually a cross between the Rhynchorides, Bangkok Sunset, and Renanthera Storiei. This should be a pretty cool cross, because they're fairly different plants. Renanthera Storiei gets really big, 5-6 feet tall, I think, maybe bigger, and flowers fairly profusely. It's a pretty sturdy plant. I have heard people talk about struggling with their Storiei, you know, that's the species, Renanthera. I've never really had much of an issue. Maybe I just have been lucky. However, the Rhynchorides Bangkok Sunset, now that one I've struggled with. I've had mine for a few years, it's bloomed for me one time, and it just always looks sickly and sad. I'm not quite giving it exactly what it needs. I think that I'm giving it too much sun and probably a little bit too much water. So I have adjusted what I'm doing with that, with my Rhynchorides Bangkok Sunset, and it seems to be doing okay. But this one, this cross right here, this having that Renanthera Storiei in it with the Rhynchorides Bangkok Sunset, I think that that's going to end up being a pretty cool plant. You can see this is fairly big. I wish I had a can of orange soda to put next to it, because that seems to be how they show the size of all the orchids on eBay, but I don't have any. I did just have a cocktail. There's my, does that help at all? It's pretty big. For the price, it was like, I want to say around $40. I would never probably find a Bangkok Sunset for this size. And this tag is supposed to be representative of the flowers, but it's kind of hard to see. I'll post up a picture on here from the eBay listing. Not quite as pretty as what you get with the Bangkok Sunset, but you know, this also has that Renanthera Storiei in it. The Renanthera Storiei does better potted than the Rhynchorides probably would, so this might, you know, maybe it's leaning a little bit more towards the Storiei, maybe it's a 50-50 split. I can't be entirely positive of its genetics completely, and this just showed up yesterday, so I can't really account or take credibility for its appearance, which I'm fine with. It doesn't really look that hot as far as I'm concerned. Like, I'm still working on getting these big thick roots to rehydrate. With the Vandas, pretty much as soon as they get wet, those roots should turn green. They should feel very smooth, not at all papery or woody at all, almost like they're covered in like a wax. That's been my experience for really healthy Vanda roots. Now, that might be a little bit different, this being a cross, because the Renanthera sometimes has more fuzzy roots. But ultimately, you know, I'm still trying to get these big guys to green up a little bit faster, so I'm going to be giving these multiple soaks a day, but for short periods of time, and I'm not going to let them dry out for too terribly long. And that's just particularly because my humidity is quite low right now. Now, up here, I was talking about this before. So you can see this discoloration up there. Like I said, when this arrived, it was very cold outside. It was like 32 degrees. Today it was in the 70s. Tomorrow it's supposed to be in the 70s, and then the day after that it's supposed to snow. Weather here is just erratic. I think it's going to be okay, though it can take several weeks for orchids to show the full-on effect of cold damage. I think this is just the cold bringing out some color. It could be letting me know that it has a magnesium deficiency. I do dose this water with calcium and magnesium. I use eggshells and Epsom salts to get that in there, so you know, like I said, the Renanthera, which is up there now, the Storiei, that's crossed with Dr. Anek, the one I just showed you a minute ago, it had a lot of this on it within a few days of bringing it out here from unboxing it. And that eventually, within probably, I'd say, a week and a half's time, went away. So I'm not really too worried about that. I'm also not too concerned about the speckling. That's pretty characteristic of the Rhynchorides, Bangkok Sunset, and this is a cross between those. What I'm noticing the most is the span on this is really, really big. Yeah, so pardon the shaky camera work here, but it looks like from the widest point to the widest point, looking at about 18 inches or so. Really, almost 20. That's pretty big. So ultimately what I'm hoping for here is a little bit of hybrid vigor. Sometimes when you cross two plants together, you get hybrid vigor, and you end up getting a plant that grows way faster than either of its parents. I don't really think that's going to happen, because Renanthera Storiei, for me, always grew very fast. I had one in my old collection. It got massive within a few years. I haven't replaced it yet. I would like to get a new one, but the prices have really skyrocketed on those guys. So for now, I'm happy with these crosses. So yeah, there's that little mini haul of 2 orchids, which ended up being 3 because they sent me the other one that they weren't supposed to. But that's all right. I'm still very excited that I got this guy. I've been trying to find a Renanthera Rhynchorides Bangkok Sunset cross for quite a while, so I'm pretty happy with this. You know, there's some dry roots and whatnot, but that's all right. It'll recover. It'll be just fine. All right, but that's going to do it for this video. Hope everybody's doing well. I will keep everybody updated on any spikes or root growth or anything that happens like that, but, you know, that'll take some time. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up. It helps the videos a lot. Subscribe as well. I upload multiple times a week. I'll put my social media stuff down below. Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter. Follow me on there. I'll follow you back, and we can look at each other's pictures and have fun, nerdy plant time together. And I hope everybody's doing well. Let me know if you guys have any experience with the Renanthera Vanda crosses, Renanthera with the Randas, or Macaras. There's all different types of fun mixes in there. This is my first Renanthera Rhynchorides, and I'm excited about it. All right, that'll do it. And as always, everybody, keep on growing. Bye-bye.